Imagine you are sitting in a dimly lit apartment in 1999, the high-pitched screech of a dial-up modem filling the room as you wait for a single digital door to open. You aren't looking for a website or a chat room. You are looking for a specific piece of code, a digital skeleton key that shouldn't exist. Suddenly, the screen flickers, and you realize you've just gained access to every song ever recorded, every movie ever filmed, or every secret stored behind a government firewall. This wasn't a movie plot. It was the reality of a decade where a few lines of illegal code were enough to bring multi-billion-dollar industries to their knees and force the highest courts in the land to redefine what it means to own a piece of information. We often think of software as a tool for productivity, but there is a category of programs that was built specifically to disrupt, to dismantle, and to destroy the status quo. These are the programs that governments tried to ban, that corporations spent millions to erase, and that ultimately broke the internet as we knew it. Today we are opening the forbidden archives of the most illegal software ever created. Software that changed the world by breaking all the rules. Let us start with the software that redefined the music industry forever and almost collapsed the concept of copyright in a single summer. Napster. In 1999, Sean Fanning and Sean Parker released a simple peer-to-peer file-sharing program. On the surface, it was just a way for college students to trade MP3s. But in reality, it was a specialized engine that turned every individual computer into a global server. This was illegal in the eyes of the RIAA and every major record label because it bypassed the gatekeepers of media entirely. The software was illegal, not because it contained a virus, but because its very existence invalidated the business model of an entire industry. It broke the scarcity of music. Within months, millions of people were downloading songs for free, and the music industry's revenue began a downward spiral that took over a decade to stabilize. The legal battle that followed was legendary, eventually forcing Napster to shut down, but the broken system could never be fixed. The code had leaked the idea of infinite libraries into the public consciousness, and from its ashes rose the world of streaming we live in today. But Napster was just the beginning. While the music industry was fighting over MP3s, the movie industry was about to face its own illegal nightmare. It was called DCSS. To understand why this software was so disruptive, you have to understand the content scramble system used on DVDs. For years, the movie studios controlled which machines could play their discs using a proprietary encryption. They wanted to ensure that you couldn't copy a DVD or play it on unauthorized hardware like a Linux-based computer. Then a 15-year-old in Norway named John Lek Johansson wrote a tiny program called DCSS that broke the encryption wide open. The MPAA went into a full-scale panic. They claimed that the code itself was an illegal device under the Digital Millennium Copyright Act. They tried to ban the code from the internet, leading to a surreal period where people printed the illegal DCSS source code on t-shirts and even encoded it into songs to prove a point about free speech. The software broke the lock on physical media, proving that no matter how much you spend on encryption, a clever teenager with enough time can render it useless. Then we have the world of true underground software, the kind that was built to stay invisible. Let us talk about the Onion Router, or Tor. This is a fascinating case because while it is used for many legal things today, its origin and its dark side are deeply controversial. Originally developed by the U.S. Naval Research Laboratory to protect government communications, the software was eventually released as an open-source project. It works by peeling layers of encryption as your data bounces through a global network of volunteer nodes, making it nearly impossible to trace your physical location. This software broke the surveillance model of the internet. It allowed for the creation of hidden services where everything from whistleblowing to the most illegal black markets in history could operate. The FBI and international law enforcement have spent decades trying to break Tor, but the decentralized nature of the code makes it a ghost in the machine. It is software that provides a digital witness protection program for anyone who knows how to use it, and it remains the primary tool for those operating in the banned sectors of the web. But if we are talking about software that actually broke the physical world, we have to talk about Stuxnet. This is arguably the most sophisticated and illegal piece of code ever discovered. It was a digital precision strike, designed to target a very specific type of industrial controller used in a nuclear enrichment facility. It didn't just sit on a hard drive. It manipulated the speed of the centrifuges until they physically tore themselves apart, all while reporting to the operators that everything was normal. This was the first time software was used as a kinetic weapon. It broke the safety barrier between the cyber world and the physical world. While no nation ever officially claimed credit, the complexity of the code suggests it was a state-sponsored project. It is illegal in the sense that it constitutes an act of digital warfare, and it changed the way every military on Earth thinks about their infrastructure. Stuxnet proves that a thumb drive and a few thousand lines of code can do more damage than a squadron of fighter jets. Then there is the category of copy protection software that became illegal because it broke the law itself. In 2005, Sony BMG released millions of music CDs that contained a hidden piece of software called a rootkit. The goal was to prevent people from copying the CD more than a few times. However, the software was designed to hide itself deep within the Windows operating system, creating a massive security hole that other hackers could exploit. It was illegal behavior by a major corporation. The software behaved exactly like a piece of high-end malware, hiding its processes and making it impossible for the user to delete. When the public found out, it created a massive scandal, leading to lawsuits and a total recall of the affected disks. This software broke the trust between the consumer and the manufacturer, proving that sometimes the legal companies use illegal tactics to protect their bottom line. Let us look at the software that broke the global economy. In 2010, the financial world experienced what is now known as the flash crash. Within minutes, the Dow Jones Industrial Average plummeted nearly 1,000 points, evaporating nearly $1 trillion in market value, only to recover almost as quickly. The cause was a massive feedback loop created by high-frequency trading algorithms. These programs were designed to buy and sell stocks in microseconds, but they weren't designed to handle a sudden massive sell-off. One algorithm triggered another, which triggered another, causing a digital panic that moved faster than any human could intervene. While the software itself wasn't illegal in its design, the resulting market manipulation and the instability it caused led to massive new regulations. It broke the logic of the stock market, showing that we have handed the keys of our global economy to unhinged algorithms that we don't fully control. In the early 2010s, a piece of software called Silk Road changed the illegal world forever. It wasn't just a website. It was a complex integration of the Tor network and Bitcoin, creating a perfect anonymous marketplace. The software allowed people to trade prohibited goods with the ease of an Amazon transaction. It broke the traditional model of law enforcement. Instead of checking street corners, the police had to become digital forensic experts. The software was so effective that it operated for years under the nose of international agencies. When the creator was finally caught, it was through human error, not because the software itself failed. This code proved that if you combine encryption with a decentralized currency, you can create a banned economy that is almost impossible to shut down. Have you ever heard of the P2S, or Point to Success software used by hackers in the mid-2000s? This was a category of stress testers that were actually distributed denial-of-service DDoS tools. Programs like LoyKey or the low-orbit ion cannon allowed even non-technical users to join a digital mob and target a specific website with so much traffic that it collapsed. It was used by groups like Anonymous to shut down several major corporate and government websites. These programs were illegal because they turned a computer into a weapon of censorship through digital force. They broke the availability of the internet, showing that even the biggest websites could be brought down by a few thousand people running a simple piece of unhinged code simultaneously. Then there is the curious and terrifying world of spyware as a service. A modern example is Pegasus, developed by the NSO Group. This is a zero-click exploit, meaning it can infect a phone without the user ever clicking a link or answering a call. It gains full access to your messages, your camera, and your microphone. While the company claims it is for legal law enforcement use, it has been found on the phones of journalists, activists, and world leaders. It is illegal software that broke the concept of mobile security. It proves that there is no such thing as a secure device if someone is willing to pay enough for the code to break it. It is a digital skeleton key that works on a global scale, and its existence has forced tech companies like Apple and Google to constantly rewrite their security protocols. Let us discuss the software that broke the radio waves. In the 90s, there were illegal clones of cellular phone software that allowed people to clone an existing phone's serial number. This meant you could make calls on someone else's account, and they would get the bill. It was a massive problem for the early analog cellular networks. The software broke the billing system of the telecom companies and forced them to spend billions to upgrade to digital, encrypted systems. It was a game of digital cat and mouse, where the software was always one step ahead of the law. This era of freaking software showed that the invisible waves that carry our voices are just as vulnerable to illegal code as a physical wire. Look at the history of game-breaking software like the Game Genie or modern aimbots in online gaming. In the early 90s, Nintendo sued the creators of the Game Genie, claiming it was an illegal derivative work because it allowed players to change the code of the game in real time. Nintendo lost the case, but the battle over cheating software continues today. In the world of esports, illegal software can destroy the integrity of a million-dollar tournament. It breaks the competitive balance of the digital world. These programs are constantly evolving, using kernel-level access to stay hidden from anti-cheat systems. They represent a banned subculture of players who want to win at any cost, even if it means breaking the virtual universe they are playing in. We also have to talk about the software that broke the privacy of the home. There have been cases where legal baby monitors or smart home cameras were found to be running illegal backdoors. Hackers wrote software that could scan the entire internet for these vulnerable devices and display the live video feeds on public websites. This software broke the sanctuary of the home. It turned a protective tool into a surveillance nightmare. It highlights the disturbing reality that many smart devices are just unprotected computers with a lens attached. The illegal code that exploits these flaws serves as a constant, harsh reminder that we are often inviting a digital intruder into our most private spaces. Then there is the software that broke the law of mathematics, the specialized programs used to mine Bitcoin in its early days. While not illegal in itself, the software was used in massive botnets where hackers would secretly infect thousands of computers and use their processing power to mine currency. This illegal use of other people's hardware was a form of digital resource theft on a global scale. It broke the power-to-value ratio of the internet, where a hacker could generate wealth using electricity they weren't paying for. This led to a massive crackdown on cryptojacking software, which remains a hidden, silent threat on many corporate networks today. Let us look at the software that broke the concept of borders. Programs like Aereo or the early versions of TV Catch-up tried to use thousands of tiny antennas to stream broadcast television over the internet legally. The courts eventually ruled that this was an illegal workaround for retransmission fees. The software broke the geographical licensing model of the media world. It suggested a world where your physical location shouldn't limit what you can watch. While those specific companies were shut down, their unhinged idea paved the way for the global VPN industry, which millions of people use today to legally bypass the illegal geoblocks on their favorite content. Have you heard of the software that broke the election? Regardless of political leanings, the software used by companies like Cambridge Analytica showed a new, unhinged side of data science. They used illegal harvesting of millions of social media profiles to build psychological models of voters. The software wasn't just gathering data, it was weaponizing it. It broke the neutrality of social media, turning personal connections into a tool for mass manipulation. The legal fallout from this illegal data scrape led to new privacy laws like the GDPR in Europe. It proved that if you have enough data and a powerful enough algorithm, you can break the way a society makes its most important decisions. In the world of malware, there is a piece of software called Dark Comet. It was a remote access Trojan rat that was originally created for legal IT administration. However, it became the illegal tool of choice for hackers and even authoritarian regimes to monitor activists. The software allowed someone to see the screen, listen to the mic, and browse the files of an infected computer in real time. The creator was so disturbed by how his neutral software was being used for illegal purposes that he eventually stopped development and tried to ban his own creation. It is a cautionary tale of how powerful code can easily become unhinged once it leaves the hands of its designer. Let us discuss the software that broke the DRM of the world. The Fair Play encryption used by Apple in the early iTunes days was broken by a program called HIM, Hear Your Music Now. It allowed people to remove the illegal restrictions on the music they had legally purchased. This led to a massive arms race between Apple and the developers of HIM. The software broke the model of renting your digital library. It reminded the world that if you buy a digital file, you should own it just like a physical record. This battle eventually led to the industry-wide shift away from DRM-protected music, a massive victory for the unhinged coders who believed in digital ownership. We must also consider the illegal architecture of the early internet worms, like the I Love You virus or Code Red. These were programs that broke the connectivity of millions of people. They weren't just illegal because they caused damage, but because they exposed the structural fragility of our global communication systems. A single line of unhinged code in an email attachment was enough to shut down the UK's House of Commons or the computer systems of major airlines. These illegal events forced the world to rebuild the internet with a focus on security, leading to the creation of modern firewalls and antivirus shields we take for granted today. Look at the software that broke the car industry's secrets. There are illegal tuning programs that allow owners of modern electric vehicles to unlock features that are already physically in the car but hidden behind a paywall. For example, you can buy a software patch from a third party that increases the speed of your car or unlocks a higher range battery. The manufacturers claim this is illegal because it modifies their proprietary code. This software breaks the new model of software as a service in the automotive world. It reminds us that we are entering an era where you don't own your hardware anymore. You are just licensed to use it by the software. The illegal hackers who unlock these features are the digital mechanics of the new age. Then there is the category of banned financial software like Tornado Cash. This is a piece of smart contract code running on the Ethereum blockchain that allows users to mix their cryptocurrency transactions, making them anonymous. The US government banned the software, claiming it was being used for money laundering. This is a fascinating legal case because the software is decentralized. It doesn't have a company or an office. It is just code running on thousands of computers. It breaks the traditional model of financial regulation. You can't arrest a piece of code. It highlights the growing conflict between sovereign software and national laws. Have you heard of the software that broke the patent system? A project called All Possible Melodies used a computer program to generate every possible 8-note, 12-beat melody and save them to a hard drive. By releasing these billions of melodies into the public domain, they technically broke the ability for anyone to legally claim a patent on a new melody in the future. It was a protest in code. It used the power of brute force software to show how unhinged our copyright laws for music had become. It is a brilliant example of using illegal logic to prove a legal point. Consider the software that broke the prison system. In some regions, illegal apps were found that allowed inmates to communicate with the outside world using hidden frequencies or hijacked signals. These apps broke the isolation that is a fundamental part of the justice system. They highlight the disturbing fact that in the digital age, a wall is only as solid as the encryption on the airwaves. Every time the authorities found a way to ban the signal, a new piece of unhinged code would appear to tunnel through the fence. Now let us talk about the most illegal software of all. The core of the modern web. In the early days, encryption itself was considered a munition under US law. To export a piece of software that used strong encryption, you had to have the same license as a company selling tanks or missiles. A developer named Philip Zimmermann released PGP Pretty Good Privacy in 1991, which brought military-grade encryption to the average person. The government launched a 3-year illegal export investigation against him. It was illegal to share the code that protected privacy. Zimmermann eventually broke the law by printing the source code in a book and shipping it overseas, arguing that books were protected by the First Amendment. This unhinged maneuver won the battle for strong encryption for all of us. This software broke the government's monopoly on secrets and ensured that you can have a private conversation in the digital age. The world of illegal software is a mirror of ourselves. It reflects our desire for freedom, our greed, our curiosity, and our need for security. Every piece of broke code we have discussed today was a response to a limitation. Whether it was a limitation on music, a limitation on privacy, or a limitation on what a machine could do, the software was the shattering of that wall. We live in a world that is built on the ruins of the systems that these programs broke. So the next time your phone updates or you log into a secure site, remember the unhinged history of the illegal code that made it possible. Remember the DCSS t-shirts, the Napster riots, and the Stuxnet centrifuges. We are living in a digital universe that is constantly being recoded by those who are willing to break the rules. The law is often slow, but code is fast. And in that gap between the law and the code, history is made. Thank you for exploring this banned digital underworld with us. It's a complex and often unsettling topic, but it's one that defines our modern era. Every illegal software find is a reminder that in the world of computer science, the only real law is logic. And as we have seen today, logic can be the most disruptive force of all. Stay curious, stay unlocked, and keep your software updated, carefully. We'll see you in the next deep dive into the technology that shapes our world. Until then, keep an eye on your permissions and think twice before you click accept. Be blessed and keep learning.